Yeah, good morning and welcome to Iyun with Benzion. Today I want to talk about the Mishnah on Chav Gimel and Beis, which goes into Chav Dalet and Aleph and continues to Chav Dalet and Beis. Basically, the Mishnah says everyone agrees that a Kohen can't come and say, we have no idea who this guy is, and say, hey, I'm a Kohen. We don't believe the guy. If in Eid Echad someone else comes and says the guy's a Kohen, so that's a machlokesh, right? It's a machlokesh. Yudah holds generally you need two Eidim. And the Rabbanan hold no, one aid would be good enough to identify him. Presumably, the Gemara says to true to eat truma. The Rabbanan hold only eat truma. We're not malam et truma liyuchsin. For yuchsin, you need two aidim, and for kadshim, the Gemara says on chav dalam and beis. Chazaka only allows you to eat truma, but not kadshim. Kadshim are more severe. Yuchsin are more severe. What does yuchsin mean? We're going to go with the preferred explanation. I think most Rishonim say yuchsin means to assume that he's not a mamzer. We don't know this guy. He's not a mamzer in his sin, right? It's not telling us that he's a Kohen, but it just tells us he's not a mamzer in his sin. And that we need a lot. We need two Eidim to tell us that because we're choshesh that he might marry a Bas Yisrael. A mamzer in his sin can't marry a Bas Yisrael. Why are Yuchsin and Kachim more believable? And why is he not Neman? Right? Eid Echad is Neman B'Yisur. Normally Eid Echad is Neman B'Yisur. Why is Eid Echad not Neman to say he's a Kohen? So I want to start off with this. First of all, the Gemara is Eid Echad Neman B'Yisur. That is only B'Yisurin. That is not leheterim. What's the difference, right? We always assume Eid Echad is never to answer something. Like the Gemara says, Shavisi nafshech adikad yisura. The reason being, when it comes to didim d'oraisa, is that when you say you're an Eid Echad, so an Eid Echad by yourself, like the Gemara says, Karo Adam Eitel Atma, you have negias. Normally, in a regular Eid Echad who testifies that somebody else, that has the validity of a chazak, an assumption, in order to cause someone a shvua, in order to make someone a sota and things like that. Eid Echad is generally believed has the reliability, not ne'emanus, but it has the reliability, the assumption of chazaka, which I've explained is about a 75% proof, not an 80% proof requisite for a complete proof, necessarily motzi mamon and things like that. However, when you're testifying yourself, the verse is Adam Karav Eitel Atzmo, Ein Adam Meis Matzmo Rasha. Those are two separate things. Ein Adam Meis Matzmo Rasha, we explain in different shiur, means I'm not believed to denigrate myself. Torah doesn't want you to denigrate yourself. Don't denigrate yourself. You're not neman to mechayiv yourself. A knas, to punish yourself, to say you did an avera. We don't believe you about that. However, Karav Eitzel Atzmo is something else that tells me that I have negias by myself. I'm Karav. We can't trust you about yourself. The reason is, so when it comes to Isurin, we're allowed to, because when I say something, that creates a suffix. I don't know if the guy is telling the truth. So when it comes to Isurim, Doraisa, Sveka Doraisa, L'chumra, Shavisi Nafshech Kadisura, suffix Doraisa is L'chumra. So you assert yourself, it's a suffix, but you assert yourself, so you're assert. And when it comes to matter yourself, say I'm a Kohen, you want to get all the benefits, you want to eat Truma, you want to duch it, you want to get the cheaper aliyah, right? When they're auctioning off aliyahs, we don't believe you're a Kohen. We don't believe you want to bench for it, get bigger as a Muslim. We don't believe you're a Kohen. That's the head there. To matter yourself, you're no game. I said do rice says l'chumra, not l'kula. To matter yourself is l'kula. We don't believe you l'kula. However, if somebody else is testifying on your behalf, that we assume is an Eid Echad, and it's a chazaka. Right? Chazaka is stronger than a suffix. It's an assumption, and we believe that if it's dinim mamnis or if it's erva davar ever, you need to edim. If it's not over here, it's not. We're not talking about davar ever. We're not talking about dinim mamnis. So technically, an Eid Echad is believed, unless, right, there's a problem of mala mitruma liyuchsin. You might be mala from eating truma to yuchsin over there. So we don't necessarily, we wouldn't believe you. Now the Gemara says that yuchsin and eating kodshim, the Gemara says chavdal and beis, is more chomer. Yuchsin, we explained, the mamzer and the sin. So in Eid Echad, the Mishnah does say in Eid Echad, if it's not you, and there's no chashash l'gomlin, right? Meaning it's not two people coming, two strangers coming. The other guy says he's a Kohen, and the second guy says no, the first guy is a Kohen, right? Maybe there's a colluding, there's a conspiracy. If it's just one person comes in, I'm a Kohen, and another guy comes out of the crowd and says this guy's a Kohen, right? So you don't believe about yourself, but another aid would be believed, right? Why would he be believed? The Eid Echad establishes a chazaka. And even though by dinim mamis, davar she'erva, you need proof, you need stronger proof. A chazaka works for kodshim and for yuchsin. It does work for kodshim and for yuchsin. What is yuchsin? Yuchsin is a suffix where the guy's a mamzer and a sin. Can he marry a bas Yisrael? So I explained kedusha That's all. Kedush Kodshim is Kedush, basically the Kedushas Kuna that allows you to eat Kodshim. Kedushas Yisrael or Kedushas Kohen allows you to marry a Bas Yisrael, because if you're a mamzer or in a sin, you can't marry to the Kal, you can't marry a Bas Yisrael. Kedushas Yisrael only applies to men, I've mentioned. It's when you get an Aliyah, you're called Yisrael. Only a man is called Yisrael. Only men get Aliyah the Torah. A woman can read the Motzi others with the Torah, but she can't get an Aliyah. She'll never be able to get. She never has Kedusha. Kedusha is Yisrael. Kedusha is above Isser v'Heter. Kedusha, but a Chazaka is good enough for Kedusha, good enough for Yochsin to certify that this guy's a Yisrael. Chazaka and Eid Echad we believe. In our Mishnah, it's a weird case where each one is testifying for the other person. So therefore, we have more chashash because of Gomlin. There might be conspiracy. So therefore, there's a little reisa in the Chazaka. It's a weak Chazaka. However, when there's a good Chazaka, when it's an Eid Echad that we have no knowledge of him trying to provide a conspiracy or being part of a conspiracy, so then we believe the Eid Echad because it's a Chazaka, which is good enough for Kedushas Kohen or Kedushas Yisrael, for Yochsin, and for eating Kachim. Kachim are called Kachim is the Kedushas Kohen. So that's why, that would just explain everything over here, that when it comes to Isser v'Heter, right, which is Yochsin and Kachim or Isser v'Heter, you eat Kachim, that's an Isser v'Heter. Only it's Isser for to eat Kachim that are not belong to you, and Yochsin is again is an Isser of Mamzer and sin marrying Israel, a Bas Yisrael, an Isser lav in the Torah. So therefore, for yourself, you're not neman because Adam Karav Eitel Atzmo. However, somebody else, when there's no chashash of Gomlin, we would rely on that testimony for Yochsin and for Kachim, because like an assumption is good enough for Kachim and for Yochsin, for Kedusha, to make Kedusha Israel, but not good enough to Motzim Mona Darash Be'evra. That's the conclusion of today's shir. I hope it clarified a lot for you. It should clarify a lot for you about these dinim. See you in Mishnah Yomi coming up next.